So, what is user persona? A product is not built for everyone. It must have a targeted segment of users. User persona is a fictional, concrete representation of targeted users. It shows the goals, desires, behaviors of a group of users. Here is an example. Nina is in her 20s and is a graphic designer. She is very interested in maintaining a work-life balance and tracking aspects of health and performance. She wants to eliminate unhealthy lifestyles and would like to measure life more scientifically. However, she found herself spending too much time on screen and is looking for ways to maintain personal health. I would say she is a perfect persona for wearable devices. The concept of persona was first proposed by Alan Cooper in 1983 and was popularized for online business and technology community after his first book in 1999. Nowadays, it has been widely used for product design, UX design, marketing, and advertising promotions. In this video, I'd like to share common practices and mistakes people make when they build user personas for their products. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm currently a PM at Microsoft and I make videos about my PM learnings and experiences every week. Having clarity on user personas is usually the first step of product or feature design, and it needs research and validations. The first common mistake we see here is defining the user persona only based on assumptions and impressions. You can start with a hypothesis, then conduct research to make it solid, but you cannot just trust your gut feelings and build it in a vacuum. We all live in customers' shoes, that's valuable input, but at the same time, we also have bias and limitations. Here are some ideas of how you can make it better. First, qualitative feedback. There are several ways to get qualitative feedback. The most straightforward way is conduct user interviews with a small or media group. Based on their shared attitudes, goals, pinpoint, and expectations, you can categorize them into several personas. If you have existing users of your product, you could also find their scenarios and pinpoints via feedback channels like social media, discussion forums, and support tickets. You can also interview existing users to get more references. Besides the qualitative feedback, you can also collect and analyze quantitative feedback. Qualitative research is usually based on a small group of users, and you may be biased with some users you picked. To improve that, analyzing quantitative data with a bigger user base will help. Common practices here are first, sending surveys to a large sample of your user base. For example, here is a survey every player receives in Genshin Impact. Second, you can also analyze user statistics in your telemetry. Due to privacy reasons, you may not be able to map a user ID to a real person, but you can always get statistical analysis like country, active time period in a day, sex, age, preferred platform like PC, Android, or iOS, professionals, interest, and so on. Based on those statistics, you'll have more details for your user personas. One thing to note is qualitative and quantitative analysis are not exclusive. They are not one or the other. You'll need to combine them to get a richer view of your users and build a solid persona. Personas are built to be communicated. The second common mistake is you are not sharing it. If you fully understand your personas and use it when designing a product, but your team lacks of this understanding, then your persona has no meaning. Personas need to be shared, communicated, and understood by all team members. It is a common language for the team. Here are some tips on how to make it well known. First, reference it to set context for every feature design and review. Let the team know the target user group for your feature. That helps to set up the context and the common foundation for all discussions. Second, build it into customer stories or customer journey. Your persona needs a story to help you and your team build empathy. And people are more engaged when they listen to stories, and they are more likely to feel empathy towards your persona. So build the persona into customer stories with customer problems, goals, and desires. Third, make it count for decision making. If you would like to prioritize features, think about the targeted user persona and see which group is more important than others. If you would like to choose a better workflow, think about who will use it and make a decision based on their habits. Keeping personas in mind could help you make better decisions. The other common mistake I see is never refreshing after building a persona. The team invested some research to build a version of the persona, then the job is done and they never look back. This might be fine if you have a very mature product and personas don't change that much over time. However, if you are building an emerging product and the user base grows very fast, then personas may change. It is bad if you don't have target persona when designing your product, but it is even worse if you target a wrong persona. You want to revisit the predefined personas and validate if they still hold true at least every 6 months. Next is too specific or having too much irrelevant information. Some people may suggest to create a real person-like persona, like put a name, photo, hobbies, education, background, hometown, etc. But in my opinion, instead of creating a real person, you should focus on the parts that are more relevant to the product. For example, some may put an exact age of the persona like 42 years old. But the question here is how this relates with your product. Will your design change if the person is 35 years old instead of 42? If not, then it should be 30s to 40s rather than the exact 42. In another example, if you are building a product for tracking sports records, then it makes sense to point out that running is a hobby for your persona. However, you may not want to cover singing here as it won't impact any of the user interfaces. So why bother to mention it? Personas need to be well communicated to the team. The more relevant it is to your product, the easier the education is. The last one is how many personas you should define for your product. It won't work well if you define too few or too many. Generally speaking, 2 to 4 personas for a product are the best. If you feel you must divide your target users into 10 different slots, that doesn't mean you have to create 10 personas. You can't optimize your product for 10 different personas at the same time. Pick the most important 2 to 4 and create personas for them. You can always revisit your personas list every several months and adjust the priority and focus. That's all. I hope you found this video useful. If you like the content, please give me a thumb up, and if you have any questions for me, feel free to leave a comment below so I can try to address them in my future videos. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye!